Today I want to talk about the Ring of Power and the controversy about all of this. So, obviously, let's start. So, the first thing is that with casting members and how people perceive these characters in the books, the characters that are in the books, that characters that not in the books, that is just new created character for the show, and the complement because of some of the characters skin tones and some character gender swaps and all this kind of thing. The thing here I really want to say is that you have to understand here is that if you read the books of J.R. Tolkien, it's text. They explain the history about a fantasy world that is very much inspired from the Nordic and the Anglo-Saxon and the Celtic realm of history. So, for example, when we see the movies are have lots of common with the books, but also lots of differences. For example, if you look at the armor of the armor of Gondor is much more medieval etched and is in the books. So you have all of this kind of different inspiration. For example, the Rohirrians are obviously inspired from the Anglo-Saxons, but they have also lots of inspiration of the Normans with the cavalry and this kind of thing. But obviously the shields and their helmet, I should say, the helmet is very much more. It's very mixed and matched with Normans, the Anglo-Saxons, and the Vandal culture. For example, if you look at the helmet is very much more like the Vandal culture helmets. And for example, one Vandal is a place in Sweden. It's a culture before the Viking era, before 900. So we have the Vandal culture, and this is why with the decoration on the helmet, like with the eyebrows, like dragons, like for example Saturn Who in England, that kind of helmet that symbolize Odin with the like mustache and yeah, all this helmet. Um, but then obviously, and then if you go to the movie, to the TV show that will come out in September, and now because of this new era, it's a new time period in the world. As we're not longer living in the Middle Ages, like, and there's lots of that kind of female characters and characters that maybe in the books are described to be European or fantasy world of Europe, to be have light skin, but instead that characters have dark skin in the TV show. And for some people, obviously not everybody, for some people are very angry, and if like that person should be white, that person should have blonde hair, or that person should have like black hair and should be European. But the problem here is that if you when you're looking after a cast actors for a show, you have to find actors that is good for that role. If you just look at the skin tone, and that person is useless for that role because that person don't know how to talk in the right way and act in that kind of in that scenes in the right way in this kind of thing. So they don't choose characters to be like ha ha ha, okay, we're gonna make you really angry, gonna take a woman with a darker complexion and let her be an important character in Ring of Power. And obviously if you think about it too, the kingdom that she is obviously she's not a princess, but she is the queen in, is the kingdom of the sun. And if you think about it, sun symbol is more. I always I know that sun symbols exist in lots of different cultures. Like the Celts have it, obviously the Incas have it. Lots of different cultures around the world use the sun in different way. Have the sun symbol, but is very much inspiration of the Mediterranean Sea. That place in the Ring of Power with that woman with the sun, golden sun helmet. For example, we have the Carthaginians, the Carthage, obviously the Greeks, the Persians, the Babylonians. Lots of different culture have used the sun, and the sun is obviously symbolized for warmth and growth. That is the sun symbolized. So in a way, a person with darker complexion is more work much better with that symbol than a person with light skin. For example, maybe if they have two queens or two kings, maybe the person with light skin should have an armor with a moon, like a moon symbol, and the person with darker skin should have a armor with a sun symbol, with the sun. And that is like when maybe like one gold and one have like white gold armor and this kind of thing. And this looks much better for this more symbolizing the warm and this kind of thing. And obviously it's a TV show. Like it's one thing to complain on the TV show if the show is bad because it's just bad. But if some people just complain because some character in that show have darker complexion. That is not complaining on the show. It's just to be a racist, and that is that. It's just that. It's nothing more complicated than that. If you just complain on something because that person has darker skin, and are in a show that originates from a book, is based on Nordic or Celtic in history. Obviously, J.R. Tolkien was a professor in Oxford and in language. So obviously he was very much inspired from the old early Middle Ages history of, for example, from Denmark, the guy, the Beowulf. Probably say the name totally wrong, but Beowulf, with that story, how he fight against a big troll and defeat a big dragon and this kind of thing. But you have to understand that this is fantasy. This is a fantasy world. It's not a real world with dragons and trolls and goblins and all these kind of things. So if you put like a skin tone on a fantasy creature and say this fantasy creature have to be white, blonde hair, Nordic European, like you have to understand. If you think about it, if you do a movie, for example, about the Celts, and you let American actors play the Celts, that is also not. It's also wrong. It's not. This is culture washing, because if you it don't matter if you have dark skin, light skin. If you want to have accurate depiction of a culture, even for example, we can go even far like this. Even if you do a movie about the Aztecs, and you let North Americans, native North American, play the Aztecs, they're also wrong because they are not North American natives. They are from South America, or Mesoamerica, because America don't even exist at that time. And this what I mean here is that it's not about the skin tone. Like if you play a movie about Celts, you cannot say, oh, that is perfect. They are right. They are light skinned. No, first of all, they are not Celts. They are Americans or they are English, but they are not Celts. They are Germanic people. They are not Celts, not even close to be Celts. But this is what I mean with racism. And people only complain when the person have dark skin. They don't complain that the person talking English in a movie. For example, Troy. For example, they're talking English. The English was not even invented at that time period. In that Troy is based on around 1200 BC. It's not even invented that time period. That even not even the Greek that we hear in Greece was not even invented at that time period. In that time, not even the alphabet that we read was not like all of these kind of little things, the big things. The people only complain on two things. If the original the character is a man in the book and they change the man to be a woman in the movie, then people get angry. The second thing is that if the person is white and they change the person to be white to have darker skin or a darker complexion, um, so you only complain on the gender or the skin tone. You don't complain about if they speak English or what kind of armor they have or this kind of thing. You like this kind of fantasy ideology depiction. Obviously, lots of kind of white supremacist. Obviously, not everybody. Obviously, are racist that say this kind of thing about they get angry of this kind of thing. Obviously not. Some of them are racist, but not obviously not everybody. Obviously, I think it's much more uh, have problem with change. I think that is more likely better to say that people have more problem with change. That people are used to a way of looking at things. They are used to read a book about, for example, the fantasy world, a fantasy world of in the Middle Ages, or a fantasy world, a fantasy world, and they are used to read old books, and that time period that most heroes are in the fantasy books or in Disney and this kind of thing are white, and they are used to that. They are used to that feeling that is how they should be. Um, they are used to that kind of clothing design, this kind of thing. And when something change, people get angry at that kind of change. So I think that is better to say that obviously some are absolutely pure racist, absolutely, but most of them that complain on this kind of thing they don't like change. For example, they are used to the old video games. They are used to God of War. At the beginning of God of War, they're used to a big muscle guy with big swords. Have lots of women around him, and he can drink lots of alcohol. All this kind of thing. They are used to that kind of image, like a very tattooed man with big muscle. Yeah, this kind of thing. And so when things change, people get so when things change, people get angry. Some people get angry um, at this kind of thing, and they also, obviously it's like because it's two factions. We have this kind of I call them the angry complainers, and then we have the other side. We have the social justice warriors, and it's some kind of an internet war between these two factions. and obviously the complainers have to be angry every time when something is changed in a TV show. Everybody, oh, that person, oh, all this kind of thing. And the other side, oh, that person, she have issue. She's too undressed. It's not possible. It's not good. So in a way, we always have this kind of faction group. Like for example, we always have this kind of angry um, angry people from both sides, no matter skin tone, like both sides. And they always, it's some kind of a trend to complain. It's like important. You have to complain. If you don't complain, it's like I don't know, complaining culture. Excuse me. I should say a complaining culture are very popular right now to complain on everything. Like this person looked at, this person looked at, and so it's more to be a complainer. And like, I obviously in a way, um, this kind of video game. Obviously, I like video game, but like the video game culture is like always to complain on something. Oh, this character is too hard to defeat. And this is just that. It's just to complain. Like that woman, she have dark skin. That she should be white and have dark hair. And obviously, it's a fantasy. It's a freaking fantasy. Um, so I don't really understand. I just it's nonsense. It's pure nonsense to complain on this kind of thing because it's just waste of time. And yeah, so that is everything I really want to say about what I think about all of this kind of thing, the kind of nonsense complaining about Ring of Power. Obviously, I don't know if this show gonna be good or bad. I have no idea, but I will obviously do a review on the show when I have seen it. And maybe it's gonna be a good review, or maybe I'm gonna be do not like be bad review. I don't know. We have to see.